All right, guys, today we're going to talk all about this thing right here, which is the Soul Urn. We're not going to go too much into the details of everything it gives. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but really what I want to talk about is why this objective is so important, because I've been coaching a lot of people recently and so many people undervalue the Urn and don't know when to run it, don't know why it matters so much. So we're going to talk all about that. Now, before we get into it, just a quick little reminder of what the Urn kind of is, right? It gives you souls when you deliver it, but on top of that, it also gives the person that delivers it. So let's say I had it and I deliver it. It also gives you 4 permanent golden statue buffs, right? These are the buffs that you get from golden statues, which are around the map. And on top of that, it gives everybody on your team 1 golden statue buff. Now, it also gives souls. So obviously I'm in a custom game right now, so it doesn't give a lot of souls. The amount of souls it gives scales with the time, and it can be either an even urn or a comeback urn. So if there's red candles, it means it's on their side of the map, green candles on your side of the map. And if there's no candles, it's neutral, meaning you're going to deliver it just straight across the map. And this is determined by the team net worth. So for the first urn, there needs to be a 15% difference in team net worth for it to be a comeback urn. For every other urn after, it's 10%, meaning let's say I have 100K and they have 90K, that would be a comeback urn because there's a 10% difference. All right, now let's get into why the urn matters so much in the current meta, and this may change in the future, but right now all of these things are true. Okay, the first thing is it's worth more than a walker, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize this. So let's do a little math, right? Walkers are 4,000 souls. So you kill a walker, you get 4,000 souls. Now, we're not going to get into how the souls for the walker are calculated, but just something you can know is that a good chunk of those souls go to the people that killed the walker, and then about half the souls are split across the entire team. But a walker is worth 4,000 souls, and it does not scale with the game time. So whether you kill the walker at 9 minutes or you kill it at 30 minutes, it's still going to be worth that 4,000 souls. Now, just the first urn at 10 minutes is already worth 3,600 souls, and there's a delivery bonus. So the person that delivers the urn gets 35% extra souls, I believe, according to the wiki. Some of this information I got from the wiki just to double check, and I confirmed with some people, and it may change, but right now, I believe that you deliver the urn, first urn 3,600, the person that delivers it gets an extra 210 souls on top of that, meaning the total value of the first urn is 3,810 souls. That means already at 10 minutes, just from the souls perspective, you're already getting basically the same soul value as a walker. Now, of course, a walker gives a flex slot, which usually early, the flex slot is not super useful yet, like at 10 minutes, but it does give map pressure, right? Because now your wave will keep pushing further in that lane. So I'm not necessarily saying that the urn is always better than a walker, but the first urn is already basically equivalent to a walker when it comes to souls. And on top of that, it gives a total of 9 golden statue buffs, as we talked about, right? 4 to the person delivering it, 1 to everybody else. So in a hypothetical scenario, if I'm trading, right, and I'm like, okay, I'm going for this urn and they get a walker in exchange, hypothetically, I'm not really that upset about it. I don't think either team would be super upset. I would say that it's mostly even. Obviously, you can make an argument for either trade being better, but I want you guys to think about that, right? It's really not that big a deal if you get the urn and you lose a walker in exchange, or the first urn. And then the urn scales with time. So as the time goes, the trade becomes less and less favorable for the people getting the walker. For example, at 20 minutes, if we do the calculation again, well, the urn gives 5,900 souls plus 344 delivery bonus to the person delivering it, which means the total value is about 6.2k souls. Now, that is 50% more souls than a walker, right? The only advantage of the walker is the flex slot. And then there's another advantage, which is technically you can funnel the souls, right? If someone solo kills a walker, they'll get about, like, let's say half the bounty of the walker. It's not exactly that, but, you know, just to give an idea. And so if someone's getting half the 4,000 souls, you can kind of get that on your carry. So that can be helpful. But, you know, at 20 minutes, I would much prefer to have the urn than the walker, just from a souls perspective. And we haven't even talked about the other advantages yet. Let's talk about these permanent buffs, right? Because I keep talking about them. So the permanent buffs that are available are, we have health, we have spirit, we have fire rate, we have ammo, we have cooldown. So all of these buffs are very, very nice because they give you a lot of additional value through the game, and they're permanent, okay? So even though it might not look like much when you're getting an extra 25 health from the golden statue buffs, when you add that up with the golden statues you pick up around the map, with the urn, with the sinners, with all that stuff, all of a sudden, you might realize that at 20 or 30 minutes, you might have 500 health from all these buffs if you've been doing a lot of that stuff. 500 health is a lot of value, right? That's almost like Colossus levels of value of health. Now, it's extremely difficult to kind of give them a monetary value because there's so many different ways to calculate it. But I just want you to know that in fights, it's actually like extremely relevant to have these buffs, especially if you get lucky and you get buffs that are relevant to your character and your build. Having those permanent buffs from a source that, you know, cannot be traded. Like, for example, let's say you steal enemy sinners, right? And you take their sinners. Technically, they can respond and take your sinners in exchange, and it would be an even exchange when it comes to permanent buffs. However, with the urn, which is kind of one of the points we'll talk about, you can't trade it. Now, let's talk about the comeback mechanic, right? Because the urn is basically the best comeback mechanic by far. If you're ever 10% behind for the second urn, nothing matters more than the urn. Now, I'll talk about it at the end to give you some tips, right? But it's by far the best mechanic because, one, it's very easy to deliver if the enemy team is not on top of things. So if you're like below, I would say like Eternus or even Ascendant, a lot of the time, if you manage to pick up the comeback urn right when it spawns, you'll be able to get the delivery for free, and the enemy team will not be fast enough or will not be organized enough in order to get anything in exchange, which means you're just going to get the urn and you're going to lose nothing. And that's really best case because it gives you a huge burst of souls, which we'll talk about in a bit. Now, there is additional souls that you get when it's a comeback urn. I believe the formula exactly is somewhat unknown, but on the wiki they have it listed as roughly 130 souls multiplied by the minutes. Now keep in mind that this is locked in the moment the urn spawns, so it's not actually the exact minute, multiplied by the deficit percentage. So I did a quick little example. Let's say you're 15 minutes, you're down 11%. The base urn value is 4750. You get the comeback bonus, which is a mere 200 souls, and then the delivery bonus, so a total of 5253 souls. Now, if you're down at 11% at 15 minutes, that might look like you're down like 8 or 9,000 souls. So if you're down 8 or 9,000 souls and you get an instant 5,200 souls that they can't really contest because, you know, they're just not fast enough and they're not organized enough, and then all of a sudden the lead goes from, let's say, 9,000 to 4,000, it's very, very fightable, right? So it makes the game playable from situations where the situation was quite dire. I really want you to think of this urn as like, if you're ever behind a lot in the mid game and you're like, man, I don't know what to do, look to the urn and the comeback urn as a lifeline and think, okay, when is the next urn? Is it going to be a comeback urn? Try to do the napkin math and think about it. Now, I don't know if this is the correct term, okay, but the way that I've been explaining this to people is the urn is an asymmetrical advantage, and I think that a lot of people forget this part, okay? This might not be the correct term. Someone please correct me in the comments if I should be using another term. What I mean by this is, let's say you lose a walker, right? Or let's say you lose all 3 of your walkers. If at some point in the game you win a fight or you get mid-boss, you will be able to kill the enemy walkers, right? Like you will be able to get that money back. So the enemy team got 12,000 souls from killing all your walkers. Let's just put it that way. They got a huge advantage, but they messed up. They lose a fight in the mid game. You get the walkers in exchange. That causes a massive swing in souls because that allows them to do something on the map, right? So when you're in the lead and you do the urn, right? If you die and you mess up, it's not like the enemy team can just like steal the urn again. The urn doesn't spawn for another 5 minutes. If you do the urn, you gain an asymmetrical advantage that cannot be traded out. It's gone forever. Any souls from buildings are technically available at any time through the game, and you can get them, you can trade them out. The urn, once it's gone, it's fickle in time, right? It only lives during that time. And that's why when I coach people and I see the urn go from 10 minutes to 15 minutes completely untouched, I'm like, guys, this was your chance to grow your lead into a lead that would be very difficult to come back from because these souls only exist in time. So there's basically, if the urn isn't run from 10 to 15 minutes, 4,000 souls vanish from the map. Like, doesn't that sound like a crazy amount? Like, do you guys know how many sinner sacrifices 4,000 souls is? At 8 minutes, a sinner sacrifice is worth about 350 souls. So you're looking at 10 sinner sacrifices worth of souls when the urn spawns, roughly. 10 sinner sacrifices. Obviously, it doesn't have as many stats and everything, but just to give you guys an idea of like the insane amount of souls that disappears when you don't run the urn. The urn forces fights and allows you to pressure, okay? So what I want to talk about this is, think of the urn as a force a fight button, okay? If you pick up the urn and you go try to run it, very likely if the enemy team knows what they're doing, they're going to be contesting you, okay? And it allows you to pressure. Now, if they don't fight, the reason why it forces a fight is because if they don't fight you, they essentially lose as many souls as if they lost a fight, right? Because they're going to lose, let's say, 4,000 souls for the first turn, and it only gets worse from there. And at 10 minutes, 4,000 souls is probably the equivalent of like getting 4 kills, like literally. Like if you get the urn turn in and you lose the fight, it's like an even trade. Even if your team gets almost wiped, like you lose 4 people, you look at the souls and you'll be like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. It's a great way to force a fight. So if you have any advantage that is not big enough to the point where it's a comeback urn, well, it forces fight, it allows you to pressure, and it's great to just, you know, pick it up and do it, right? And you shouldn't waste any time. Like if you're up 4,000 souls, or if you have all of your ultimates and they don't have any ultimates, or you just became really strong and you want to fight, the urn is the best way to kind of like make something happen, right? Because your alternative is to run at a walker, and running at a walker very often can be suicide, because maybe they have ultimates that can pull you under the walker, like maybe a lash or something, or a dynamo, or some of these things that are just going to be really scary to push into, or even a graves, right? Whereas the urn is much more open, a much more even fighting ground if you have an advantage. One of my last points is it is burst souls to buy spikes and push your advantage even further, right? So when you run the urn, you get a burst of souls instantly that allows you to buy your next item. So let's say everybody on the team, let's say you're 15 or 20 minutes, everybody on the team basically gets 1,000 souls from the urn. That's a lot of souls to get, and that can accelerate everyone on the team to basically get their next item a little bit faster, which can allow you to then pressure something else faster because you've hit your next power spikes, right? So we've talked about this in a few videos, power spikes, the idea of like, you want to fight when you're strong. You want to fight when you have an advantage over the opponent. It's MOBA's 101, right? Like you never want to take a fight in an even situation. You always want to take unfair fights if you can. The urn allows you to take your next unfair fight faster, pushes your advantage, allows you to buy spikes. So regardless of whether you're ahead or behind, that's one thing I also want to kind of drill into you guys' head is regardless of whether you're ahead or behind, if you get that large spike of souls, it's going to allow you to take that next fight just faster. So even if you're behind, you get the comeback urn, right? You get that burst of souls. All of a sudden you can buy your next item. And even if the net worth disparity between the teams might still be 4,000 or 5,000 souls, well, you guys might be able to get your spikes, and then it might actually be even as far as souls spent, right? You might not have even souls at the top, but the amount of money you have in items might be even, which if we exclude boons, which obviously boons matter, so you can't fully exclude them, but that still evens out the playing ground as much as possible. Now, let me give you 5 tips to run the urn. 5 very simple tips. Tip number 1, always try to pick up the urn when you can. Now, obviously, not everybody should pick up the urn equally. I would say if you're a hero that just wants to farm in side lane, this applies slightly less to you. So, you know, if you're playing Wraith, if you're playing, I don't know, Venator 7, you know, this will apply a little bit less to you. But if you're any hero that likes to be active, likes to move around the map, always play for the urn pickup. Okay, always. And the reason why is very simple. Playing for the urn pickup and getting the urn allows you to control the flow of the game, and it allows you to control the direction, right? You basically become the game master when you have the urn. You don't have to go deliver it, by the way. I want to make that clear. When you pick up the urn, you don't have to go for the delivery, but it gives you options, right? You can back up, you can hold the urn for a while and do boxes on your side of the map and not do anything with it if you don't feel confident. You can go towards the urn turn in and not turn it in and create a distraction and then tell your team to split push the other side of the map, right? You become a little bit like a StarCraft like commander, right? Commanding your army, telling everyone where to go. Like you can do that. Of course, in matchmaking, people might not listen. And if they don't listen, that's all right. You know, you can't win them all, but maybe they'll watch this video and maybe they'll see, hey, we can take advantage of this urn in many ways. So let's say you pick up this urn and you're down 5,000 souls and the fight for the urn doesn't look good and the enemy team is going to look to contest it. Why don't you just pick up the urn, move to the other side of the map, force the enemy team to rotate because they don't want you to get that urn. And then when you notice like, oh, there's like, you know, 4 or even 5 people here, back up. And the whole time that you're doing that, tell your team, hey guys, I'm going to go bait the urn deposit. I want 2 or 3 of you to look on the opposite side of the map. Try to see if you can get a kill and push the walker while we're doing this, right? And if you get that happen, all of a sudden the 4,000 or 5,000 lead that they had is going to dwindle because a lot of them are wasting their time just sitting near the urn turn-in. And yes, you're also wasting your time, but your team is doing something elsewhere on the map. And these plays are kind of really OP in matchmaking because people don't know how to react, right? And if you notice that your team's making a play on the opposite side, and let's say you send 2 on the opposite side, right? So if we do a little map, right, I'll illustrate it. Let's say this is the map, and let's say the urn deposit is here on the green side, right? And you're here just waiting. You're this little kind of arrow. And then your team has 2 people that are pushing here. So you've got 1, 2, and you see that they get reacted to by 3 enemies, right? If in this situation, then obviously you go for the urn turn in. So this is 3v2, which means that over here, you should have a numbers advantage, right? Well, you should have a 4v3, which should be in your favor. You should have more people. So I would tell my team, hey guys, there's 3 on the left side. Let's go for the urn. Whereas if the opposite happens, right? Let's say that we had a 2v1 here, it would be a 2v1. And then I'd be like, okay, that's fantastic. And here the opposite would be true, where you would have a 4 versus, well, they would be like, it would be even maybe 5 people, right? Maybe even 5 people are here. Maybe it's a 5v4. So don't go for the urn turn in that situation. Let your team make the play. Let them try to kill this player and let them try to push the walker, and then just hold the urn passively and kind of back up. Which leads me into the next point. The next tips: do not try to deliver the urn if there is no clear advantage. Taking the gamble may end up in a prime delivery for the enemy team. I've seen so many times where people just try to, like, now that the urn turn in is instant, so many people try to just, like, you know, go for it and luck it in. Now, what I'll say is, if they're standing on the turn in, all they have to do is light melee, and it's extremely easy for them to stop you. So if you don't have an advantage, if you're at a numbers disadvantage, absolutely do not try to deliver the urn unless you're extremely confident you can sneak it in, because, I don't know, like, they're just too far away from the drop off and you see an opportunity and you move really fast. But do this at your own risk. I would advise that you try to make the correct macro play rather than trying to just dunk the urn and, you know, get lucky. This kind of goes with what I said. Explain your intent with the urn to your team, okay? You pick up the urn, you have an advantage. You should fight, right? So tell your team, hey guys, let's play for this urn. Your team should try to stack on this side and just, hey guys, we're up 4K. Let's play for the urn. Let's try to fight this. I doubt people on your team are going to be against that if you just tell them. A lot of people will probably be like, hey, that's cool. Let's do that, right? Some people are not going to listen, right? I already know in the comments, some of you guys are going to say, what if my teammates don't listen? What if my teammates don't understand the game, etc.? Matchmaking sucks. My teammates don't understand anything. And look, maybe they don't. You don't need to win every game. You just need to win 55% of your games, right? You just need to win 5% more in order to climb or get better. Don't worry about every situation. Just worry about the situations where you can make a difference. Always do the urn if you have any advantage. Okay, you're up 5K, do the urn, right? You're up 10K, do the urn. Now, if it's a comeback urn for the enemies, right, you might not be able to take that fight. It might be a little too risky. That's when you can start considering mid-boss instead. So if the enemy has a comeback urn and they go for it, right, the only thing that is worth trading the urn for in this game is mid-boss. Trading the urn for a walker, especially past 15 minutes, in my opinion, it's like, it's okay, but it's not an ideal play. You would prefer not to do that. Trading the urn for mid-boss is usually fine because mid-boss gives you a lot of map control and it gives you 4 minutes to kind of exercise your advantage. And so if you can trade mid-boss for the urn, that's fine, but always do the urn if you have an advantage, if you can. Now, if it's a comeback urn and it's really hard to, and your advantage is not big enough, then don't, but that would be the one exception. Otherwise, always do it. Which brings us to the last point. If it's a comeback urn, nothing else matters, okay? Nothing else matters. Comeback urn for you, green candles, nothing else matters. Like, I don't care that you're farming a tier 3 camp. I don't care you're playing Wraith. You need to pick up that urn. I don't care if you're playing 7. You can be playing Victor. Whatever hero, if you're next to the comeback urn, or even if you're not next to it, if it's a comeback urn, you need to be thinking about that. And I guarantee you, if you are like below Ascendant, you will get the comeback urn for free if you just go to it when it spawns and you don't wait, right? They will not be there in time to defend it. They will not be ready. Now, if you are very high rank, like let's say you're a Turnus, they might be ready for it, and then you might need to get a little crafty, right? But this is Urn 101. I haven't really talked about the urn in a video before, and then eventually we'll get into the urn mind games, and we might explore that in another video. But this is, you know, this is the basic, right? You can lose a walker, you can lose anything. The comeback urn is the priority. Dedicate as many resources. You can have 4 people, 5 people go to the urn to get it. It's by far the best way to come back into the game. And even if you lose a walker to get it, obviously you would prefer not to lose the walker if you can, but even if you do, it is still worth it. It is still worth it to get the comeback urn and lose a walker. Now, this video was a little bit more theoretical. I like having a lot of in-game examples. Unfortunately for this one, I didn't take the time because I've just been really busy, but I wanted to put this video out there because I've just been repeating myself a lot in coaching sections. So hopefully you guys still enjoy the content despite, you know, being a little bit more theoretical. Some of you guys seem to like the last video that was about, you know, gun and spirit scaling. And so, you know, I figured that this one might work well as well. So let me know what you thought in the comments as always, and I will catch you guys soon. Have a good one.